What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, we're talking transfer tips ahead of Game Week 18. So we're going to go through some very popular players that people are thinking of selling. Is it a mistake? Buying? Is that a mistake as well? I'm going to give you my opinion. Obviously, just to quickly talk about what's happening right now in the league with the games being postponed and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm recording this on Thursday morning. By the time it goes out, things could have changed again. But obviously, the Watford game was called off very, very last minute last night. So those of you with the King Dennis double up, obviously not great. For anyone that bought in Backman, not great. Some people are probably relying on like Brownhill at least getting 1 point, and he hasn't played obviously because Burnley's been called off. Like, there's just not much we can do about this. My general strategy right now is just to keep trying to enjoy it, right? It is going to suck. You are going to get screwed over at times. There is going to be opportunity later on with double game weeks and stuff like that, just popping up here, there, and everywhere to gain some points back. So it's not kind of the end of the world when it comes to FPL or anything like that. Whether or not the league will be postponed, I don't know. There was a few rumours going around on Twitter last night. To be honest, I think if that was going to happen, every single journalist on Twitter would be talking about it very, very quickly. That hasn't happened. My guess is that they will keep playing the games that they can play, and they will only postpone the games they absolutely have to, because there is obviously a knock-on then of having to try and get all the matches done, and they can't just extend the season or anything like that, because I think the season was brought forward a little bit for next year because of the World Cup. So it just creates a massive mess, and I'm not sitting here commenting on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? I'm just saying that's what I think will happen. I don't have any inside knowledge or anything like that. So I think we just have to keep planning with the information that we have, and that includes making our transfers. So we're going to talk about a few players in this one. If you do enjoy it, give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. Let's jump into it. All right, let's talk about Antonio. Another frustrating game last night. Didn't get any returns against Arsenal. I got to be honest, right? I know it's very easy now to sit here and say, well, he looked knackered, he was just really poor, but we have to give some credit to Arsenal. They were very good last night. They didn't put a foot wrong pretty much from Game Week 1, from minute 1 right up to minute 90. When they lost the ball, they won it back quickly. When they had the ball, Saka caused loads of problems up against Masuaku. Lacazette was really good. Martinelli was good. Odegaard was good again. Smith Rowe was pretty good when he came on as well. Like, Arsenal were just very good, right? So it could be something to do with West Ham. Maybe some of their players need a rest. Maybe that's Antonio. But Arsenal were also very good. Now, it hasn't been great for Antonio. I've actually looked it up. His last goal was in Game Week 9. So from Game Week 10 all the way to Game Week 17 right now. And obviously some players haven't played yet. Antonio's expected goal involvement is 1.74. He's only had 6 shots in the box, right? These are all really low numbers for him. We expect a bit more over that kind of time frame. And to put it into perspective, right, these are some of the players that are ahead of him. Fornals, Odegaard, who's only just recently got back into the team anyway, Ward-Prowse, Canos at Brentford as well, Norgard at Brentford too, Reguilon, who's just missed a game. I think have Spurs not missed 2 games recently? Maddison, Tielemans, obviously Tielemans had a penalty, right? Morpay, Gallagher at Palace, Pookie at Norwich, right? These are all players that are ahead of him, which most of those players, not every single one, but a lot of them, people will consider as not very good options for FPL. And Antonio's right at the bottom. Now, we can put, I think, some of it down to fixtures. We can say that he's in a bad run of form, etc. But the fixtures have been pretty poor. Okay, so Villa, they scored 4 goals. He had no involvement. Frustrating. Liverpool's tough. Wolves don't concede many goals. Man City's really tough as well. Brighton's pretty tough. Outside of the normal tough games, I've just said tough like a million times, it's not easy. Chelsea's hard as well. I've learnt new words there. And then obviously, look, no excuses for Burnley, no excuses for Arsenal either, really. Although, like I said, Arsenal did play well. So it is frustrating, but obviously they do have the fixtures to come. And I'm just thinking of the current FPL climate, right? 26,000 people have already sold him. It's not that high. I would hope that most people are making late transfers at the moment anyway, as you should be. Like, we don't even know if King and Dennis are going to play. Watkins is potentially an option, but I almost feel like if you've kept Antonio this long, I don't know why you'd sell him before Norwich at home. That just seems crazy to me. And if you are thinking of going to Watkins, okay, he has Burnley at home this week. In my opinion, Norwich at home is probably a little bit easier. Then Antonio has Southampton and Watkins has Chelsea. So Antonio does have the best fixtures over the next couple versus him and Watkins. Unless you've got the money to go back to Ronaldo, which maybe you do, and fair enough. There aren't even really that many options to consider, right? Lacazette possibly with Leeds and Norwich coming up next. But I just think... Look, maybe part of it's bias. You know I've got a lot of love for Antonio, but I'm just thinking if this was a different player, with those kind of expected data numbers, right? 0.32 non-penalty expected goals per 90, 0.24. These are pretty good numbers for any player. Against Norwich and Southampton, I think you have to keep him. I know you can fall into a trap where if he doesn't do well against Norwich or Southampton, you may then think, well, I've got to keep him for Watford. But I do think the fixtures just warrant it. And I'm thinking, what priority transfers do people have in their team right now? Surely it's not taking out someone with Antonio's qualities against Norwich at home. The only maybe issue is he probably does need a rest. When's that going to come? I mistakenly tweeted last night that between Norwich and Southampton they have 7 days off, but they actually have a Carabao Cup game and no striker that can really replace Antonio. But I would just hope that someone like Bowen plays in that game and Antonio just gets a bit of a rest. And also, if he's in this bad run of form, what does the striker need? They need a goal. Norwich at home is kind of perfect for that. So I just don't... It's all going to be down to recovery, right? If Antonio hasn't recovered, then he might not be able to play. But I think Moyes is going to do everything he can to play him in that Norwich game. It is worth saying that when Sofao got sent off, Antonio did go to right back. Sofao's now suspended. Johnson's injured. Fredericks is injured as well. They've got some issues in that back line. But again, I would hope that Moyes would work on that for the next game, so Antonio doesn't have to play there. But there's no guarantees. Maybe he does play there. I don't know. But I think you have to keep him. I don't think going to Watkins this week is the play. Maybe long term it is. Maybe Ronaldo if that game is on, but we don't even know if that's going to be. I think you keep Antonio. I know it's been frustrating, but you kind of have to wipe that from your memory. It's Norwich at home. You don't get rid. Okay, so for anyone that watched the Man City Leeds game, right, if you haven't got any attackers, you're probably looking at getting them. And if you watch the game, you know just how good Foden looked. It's not that there was no other good players on the pitch, right? You don't win 7-0 and just have one player that played well. De Bruyne was really good as well. Gundogan, when he came on, Bernardo Silva didn't really do too much wrong either. But I do think Foden, and look, I've got to be honest, it's not that I've kind of flip-flopped on Man City players, but there have been like different circumstances where Pep's been like, they've got problems, they might not play, then they might be back soon, and they've got back issues. And now De Bruyne is back, and they've got Bernardo Silva, and Gundogan's playing as well. So things have changed a lot over the last few weeks. But going into this week, unless Pep says anything different, unless there's any different outcomes from the Newcastle game, I do think that Foden is the best Man City midfielder to buy right now. People will always say, well, what if price isn't an issue? Price is always an issue. So I do think he is better value than Kevin De Bruyne right now. If De Bruyne was on penalties, it might be a little bit different. But I think, and I said this yesterday when I was talking about Pep's favourite 11, I think Foden is part of that for sure. And I think if Grealish is going to play, Foden can easily play in the number 9 position. And if you want someone else to play in number 9, I think that Foden is more likely to then just go to the left, and Grealish is more likely just to come out of the team. So I think Foden is kind of right at the top of the pecking order when it comes to first choice 11s. Now, obviously, there might be rotation over Christmas, but Man City actually have quite a bit of breaks compared to other teams between their fixtures. So he might miss the odd game, but that's the same as kind of any other player, even potentially Bernardo Silva at this point. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you just look at those underlying numbers: 0.5 expected goals, 0.39 expected assists. This kid is something else. He is so good. And again, for those of you that watched the game, probably didn't look at the stats, you're probably thinking, how did he not come away with more returns in that game against Leeds? He was just that good. Man City, as long as the fixtures go ahead, Newcastle, plenty of goals. Brentford, I would say, plenty of goals. Leicester's not even that bad either. And Arsenal's never that bad a fixture for Man City either, because they are just that good. So if you're looking to buy a Man City midfielder this week, I think Foden has to be top of the list, because I think he's almost as nailed on as anyone else anyway. Maybe not Bernardo Silva, but again, I'm going to talk about him in a minute because things could be changing there, I think. And his numbers are just so good. And at 8 million, he is just incredible value. Like, that price is going to skyrocket next season, I think. So I can't really see any downsides. The one thing maybe is, it was only kind of last week or last game week where Pep's talking about him having an ankle niggle. And niggle seems to be his favourite word at the moment, because he said that about Bernardo Silva during the game. That's why he came off at half-time. But he didn't seem to have any issues to me when he was playing against Leeds. Now, it might be that it flares up afterwards and he has to miss the Newcastle game. I cannot be 100% sure. I've got Foden. Every time the Man City team sheet comes out, I'm constantly refreshing to check it, because I'm never 100% sure he's going to start. But I don't think right now, if we go and look at his minutes, there are very few games he's missed. Like, obviously, he was injured here. Then he came back, and that's when he had this ankle problem. So he was kind of benched against Wolves. But other than that, obviously he wasn't fit at the start of the season, obviously had the Euros and stuff. He has started every single game when fit. I don't think he's going to miss that many minutes, and when he plays, he's brilliant. So for me, he's the best option at Man City midfielders right now if you're buying one. Alright, so anyone that's already got Watkins, absolute dreamland. Loads of you want to join the party. 78,000 plus FPL managers have already brought him in ahead of Game Week 18, where it's Burnley at home. Now, don't mistake what I said about Antonio as if I think that Watkins is a bad purchase, because I definitely don't, right? If you want to transfer Watkins in this week, I think it's good. I just don't think it should be at the expense of Antonio. If you've got a different forward, you've got the money to spend, then he looks good. The thing I really like about Watkins is he is a 90-minute man, right? And I think even if Danny Ings, and this might change, we'll have to see over the next few weeks when Danny Ings is kind of back up to full fitness, right, what happens. But I think even if Ings plays, Watkins still plays off the left. And some people will be worried about that. But interestingly, Watkins' goal against Norwich came when Ings came onto the pitch. And from what I saw, and again, it's I think Ings was on for about 31 minutes, right? I came on in the 59th minute. So it's only a very, very small sample size of one game. But Watkins was on the left, especially when they defended, right? He was over there kind of helping out in defence. But when they went forward, he often drifted inside, almost like it was like a 2. And sometimes Ings would drift off to the right and Watkins would be the central player. And Matt Targett would come up providing the width on the left. So I don't think that Danny Ings playing is necessarily going to be that bad. And right now, we're going into a Christmas period where there could be postponements. And if they're not postponed, players could get rotated. I don't see that too often with Watkins. And we know that the fixture run, okay, Chelsea at home is not ideal. Man United at home, it could be okay, to be honest, the way they're playing at the moment. It's a really good fixture run for a while for someone that's going to play 90 minutes. And to be honest, if Ings isn't on the pitch, Watkins might be on penalties. Because El Ghazi's not playing really that much either at the moment. So Watkins might be on penalties. We don't know that for sure. So I do think he's a good option, right? If it fits in with your other transfers and stuff like that. I'll talk about why I didn't go for him yesterday. It wasn't because I thought Pukki was a better option than Watkins. It was more to do with kind of overall squad structure and stuff like that. But in isolation, as an option for 7.7 million, Watkins is pretty damn good. I just don't see any real reason why you wouldn't go for him. I just wouldn't sell Antonio to get him. His expected data, XG, expected assists, is slightly down on last season, but not by much. And he's got the fixtures to bring that back up as well. So a 90-minute man over Christmas, potential for penalties possibly at times. Good fixtures, no real reason not to bring him in if you've got a spare transfer. Alright, so after points and points galore over the last few game weeks, Bernardo Silva owners, some of you starting to sell, nearly 100,000 transfers out so far this game week. Now, I expect that's for two things, right? One, he didn't get any points in a 7-0 win. And two, obviously, Pep said he had a bit of an issue. It did seem very precautionary, right? I think they were 3-0 up already. The game was already won. There was no way they were going to lose it. And they've obviously got players in reserve. Gundogan was there, so he could come on. I do think potentially, and I don't know if this is the week to do it, because I'm pretty sure that Bernardo Silva will start this one if he's fine. And it's Newcastle, right? So it's a good fixture. I don't know if this is the week to be selling him, but at some point soon, it might be worth a transfer. Again, you've probably got lots of other issues to worry about, and so Bernardo Silva probably should be right down the priority list. But I do think his minutes, or our minutes expectations from him, should probably be lowered a little bit. Like recently, he's been playing 90 minutes kind of week in, week out. But now they've got a pretty much fully fit squad. De Bruyne looks extremely good. And Pep, very rarely when De Bruyne is fit, does he leave him out. Maybe because he's been out for so long, injuries, COVID and stuff like that. Maybe he'll kind of bed him in again slowly. But when he plays that well against Leeds, right, you're probably not going to want to drop him too much. So if he's going to take up one of those number 8 positions, there's only one more for Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. And I don't expect Gundogan to get permanently benched. Now, one of those three players, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, could play as the number 9, but that then means that you've probably got to take Grealish out because Foden then goes to the left, right? And I don't think Grealish is going to get used too often on the right. It'll probably be Sterling, Mahrez or Jesus. So going forward, Bernardo Silva, it might be a chance now for Pep to rest him a little bit more often. And if this issue that he had in the last game is still even just a slight issue, why would he play him when he could play Gundogan or De Bruyne instead? So we're going to have to listen out very carefully to what Pep says in the press conference. I know it's not going to be a straight, Bernardo Silva's going to miss out, but if he puts him in any kind of doubt, it might be worth using a transfer. I do think that Foden is the one to go for. Obviously, caveat is there's every chance that Bernardo Silva starts and Foden doesn't, because that's just what happens sometimes at Man City. But my money is on Foden starting again. And I just worry about those number 8 positions now. Could Gundogan and De Bruyne play there? Give Bernardo Silva a little bit of time off, even just for one game, maybe even just for 60 minutes or whatever, and then bring him back in for the Leicester game. We just don't know. But if I had him, and I've got other fires to put out, which lots of us do at the moment, I'm definitely keeping him. It's Newcastle. He only played 45 minutes. It was only a precautionary sub anyway. He should be fine. But when you look at his kind of underlying numbers, again, 0.27 expected goals, 0.18 expected assists. They're okay numbers, but there's plenty of players, Grealish, Foden, Gundogan himself, De Bruyne, that will all have kind of higher expectations than that going forward, and so possibly there's room for more points. The big thing for Bernardo Silva was he was a 90-minute man, and we just can't be sure that's going to be the case going forward. But also, I should say, we can't be sure that's not going to be the case. We just don't know, right? We're going to have to monitor it. So I would probably keep him this week unless Pep says that he's out. Alright, so this is one player this week, or in the transfer tips video, that we're going to talk about before we've seen them play against Everton, right? Because the game's on Thursday. This is going to go out before that game. So if he gets injured or something in that game, just completely ignore what I'm about to say. But he's had nearly 23,000 transfers in, so not that high. But if he does perform against Everton, people are going to be looking to get him in. I got to be honest, I think this is a really bad time to buy Mason Mount. You've got 3 okay fixtures left, of which kind of 2, maybe even 3 now under Gerrard, right? Because he has improved. It looks like anyway that he has improved in defensively, albeit over a small sample size. So they haven't really got great attacking fixtures to come. Then they got Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, 2 blank fixtures. And also, if any of you, which a lot of you will be, are on double Chelsea defence still, and maybe you're not looking to get rid, obviously that's completely up to you, but those fixtures actually scream defensive returns more than attacking returns, and Kante could be back soon as well. I think he's going to be on the bench for the Everton game, so we'll have to see if he gets any minutes. But if you're on double defence, you're bringing an attacker, so you've got 3 players then from Chelsea. If a game gets called off, you lose 3 straight away. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying you can't triple up, right? I've got no plans to sell my Liverpool triple up. I would absolutely triple up on Man City right now if I get a spare transfer at some point. So I'm not saying you don't do it, but I think you pick and choose when you do it at the moment, because obviously if games get called off, you lose a lot of players straight away. Is it worth the risk of having 3 Chelsea players with those fixtures? Bearing in mind that by game week 21, you're going to want to get rid. Now, it's all right saying that, well, I'll just get rid of him, I'll use a transfer. But again, if you've got the double Chelsea defence, that's 2 more players that you're probably going to want to get rid of by game week 21. You've also got African Cup of Nations, so Salah might need to go. Dennis possibly could be someone that needs to go as well. And yes, I know there's rumours that African Cup of Nations will be postponed, but I'm not quite sure that's going to happen, to be honest. We'll have to wait and see, right? We're going to have to just adapt and go with the information we got at the time. So for me, Mount's been really good. I've probably overlooked him at times. I think if you got on him against Everton or the week before, brilliant. I'm just not sure this week is the time to do it now. As good as he is, I think he can wait until after the blanks now. There we go. Give that one a like if you enjoyed it and you found it useful. Hit that subscribe button if you've been liking the content as well. Let me know below who you are transferring in and out this week. Obviously, you want to try and wait as late as possible, at least Friday, Saturday, to start making plans. But initially, what are you thinking about? And let me know what you're doing with Antonio. I've got a suspicion that some of you are probably still considering buying him. And I wouldn't completely say that is a bad idea, to be honest. Right? The fixtures are there for sure. We know what qualities he's got. Can he turn it around with the good fixtures? Some of you are probably buying. Let me know below if you are. And if you haven't checked out Patreon, make sure you do. We've got a new Patreon now as well. I think it's Eddie F, but it could be Edie. I'm going to say Eddie. If I've mispronounced that, let me know. I do apologise. If you want to sign up to that, there is a link in the description below. I will be back tomorrow with double upload. Obviously, we're still waiting for some matches to finish. So team selection will be tomorrow morning. We'll also have game week preview / final thoughts in the evening as well, once I've seen all the press conferences. So plenty more content to come. Deadline stream on Saturday as always. Give it a like. Hit subscribe. See you soon.